Hey girl, hey, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Misha. Thank you guys for joining me yet again. This is not the average review. I'm going to be giving the pros and the cons and what I felt about coming to America too. I'm going to be speaking my speech my way. Okay? I'm just going to tell y'all how I felt about it. But all I'm going to say, child, is what in the High School Musical is going on here. Now, Amazon, listen to me. I'm speaking directly to you. I understand you want to have your hand in many pots. I understand you trying to get the bag. But Jeff Bezos, leave these movies alone, okay? Because we didn't need this. You and Eddie Murphy got together and concocted this whole thing, and now we got this coming to America too, when we could have just left well enough alone. In 88, it was what it needed to be. Now, do not go into this movie expecting to get what you got in 1988 because your expectations are going to be too high. Okay, go into this thinking we are now in 2021. We are in the time of social media, Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Go into it with that mindset. If you were born from the 70s to 95, then you're going to be disappointed. If you were born after 95 up until, I say, 2001, then this is the movie for you. But for those of us who know those classic one-liners, this is a movie that is going to piss you off. I'm just going to tell you straight up, child. All right, so first of all, let's get to the pros. And I'm going to get a little bit into more detail, but not much because I don't want this to run too long because I don't want to spoil it for you, but I want you to get the gist of what was all taking place, okay? So I enjoyed the cameos. That was a plus. I enjoyed the all-black cast. That's always a good thing. That was a plus. And the shake machine and the ice cream machine was working over at McDonald's, I'm speaking directly to you, honey. Their machine is working. Take that from the movie and take that back with you, honey. That's just a little token, honey. Just a little side note. Those were my three pros, honey. That's where it ends. That's where it starts and that's where it stops. Now let's get into the cons, okay? So I'm going to tell you the premise of the movie and then tell you where my cons came from. So it started out good. I was like, oh, I'm seeing familiar faces. Yes, Sherry Headley. Come on, honey. Yes, come on. With the same shape and same face. I love it. Then we get into it. Let's get into it if we're going to get into it. The father shows up on the scene, which, you know, James Earl Jones is 90 years old in real life. Okay. Not to mention that he had to come back and play Akeem's father in this movie. So I can understand why they had him laying almost on his deathbed, but I didn't understand this part. Okay, so the father who was on his deathbed, this is a little bit of a spoiler, but this is a movie we've already seen before. So even if you listen to my review and you take it back with it in mind as you watch the movie, I still am not going to be able to spoil it for you because everyone sees the movie differently. He's on his deathbed. Hakeem gets called in and told that he has a baby. Hakeem, you have a baby. Okay, I don't have an African accent, honey, and neither did they, honey. The movie, we're all alike. Mine is just as bad as the ones that were used in the movie. So cut me some slack down in these comments, honey. I am not an actor, okay? So he told him that he had a baby. Somebody that looked like the crypt keeper off to the side was like, I can confirm that you do indeed have a bastard child. I didn't like that. I didn't like the fact that they kept referring. This is my first con. I didn't like the fact that they kept referring to him as a bastard child. Technically, a child without a father is a bastard. But unbeknownst to him, he had a child. So it's not like he was just a stereotypical black man that just left his baby mama and went marry somebody else and had a child. I did not like that. So Hakeem is like, you a damn lie. I know you can lie because I have not laid down with anyone except Lisa. So then Simi is sneaking on off, who's played by Arsenio Hall. And he's like, you actually do. I actually got you drunk and slipped a little something to you. And then you had sex with Leslie Jones's character. Child, listen. Had he been drunk and high in 88, we would have known. Because they left nothing, no stone unturned. So this was a reach. So he tells him that he does, in fact, have a baby because he slipped him something to get him in the mood to have sex with Leslie Jones's character. All right. So as he's saying this, then Hakeem's father says, you know what? It's almost time. I'm on my deathbed. I want to have a funeral and make it grand. So here we go with the High School Musical part of it all. We get to this funeral slash concert where he's standing straight up in this casket. I'm like, what is happening? And then all of a sudden, In Vogue busts from the back and starts singing, what a man, what a king, what a king, what a mighty good king. And then Salt-N-Pepa busts up to the front. I want to take a minute or two. What is happening? What is happening? And Salt-N-Pepa don't think I forgot how you treated Spinderella. So, I mean, I almost started dancing to the music and singing a little tune and rapping a little verse, but then I got mad all over again because of your documentary. So, for your child, I ain't even see it for y'all in this movie. So I'm still mad about that. But then I'm wondering how In Vogue and Salt-N-Pepa got in this movie. Okay. So after that, then all of a sudden Gladys Knight comes out and she's leaving on that midnight train to Zamunda. What is happening? Child, I'm not finna let y'all worry me. Child, so as she's singing him to glory. We look over there and he's like, it's time. And then he dies. That was sad and was creepy. It was very creepy. I didn't like that. I didn't like the fact that he died at his own funeral. What is going on? Then that's when, Akeem decided that he was going to, in fact, find his son in America. Now, here's another thing that I didn't like. We go to America. He's dressed like it's 1992. His hair, I'm like, what in the Kid and Play is happening? I'm trying to figure out, is this 92 or is this 2020? I was just confused. 30 years later, he's looking how he's looking. So then Hakeem and Simi decide to go down to America to retrieve his son and bring him back to Zamunda. He goes down there and his son is being a stereotypical single parent home child who doesn't have much, and he's trying to find a job and no one will hire him because he's black. Okay. So they go to New York and he walks up to him and says, I am your father. Ain't no DNA test or nothing. Baby, they gonna find a way for a black man to have an outside child, ain't they? They gonna find a way for a black man to be a baby daddy if they don't do nothing else. I don't know who wrote this, but I didn't like that. This is everything that's wrong with America. This is everything that's wrong with this movie, Coming to America. The fact that you took something that could have been great and made it this, that was ridiculous. So he goes down there, he tells him that he's his father. They go back to the apartment. So you're going to take a random stranger that you've never met on the streets of New York where they scalp and they sell fake handbags and there are all kind of con artists. You're going to take someone back to your home that you've never met. Okay. He takes him on back. Poor Leslie Jones's character, Mary, was doing the stereotypical thing that they think black moms do when they are single parents, living in an old rundown apartment, trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. She was so excited that it was her son's birthday. Didn't even have enough candles on the cake. Tried to turn 10 candles into 30 candles. Child, okay. So they come back. Hakeem's like, this is my son. She's like, oh, I remember you. I remember you well. I'm like, oh my God. So, okay. So after she stands there shucking and jiving, he tells him that he needs to take him back to Zamunda. He says, no, you're not going to take me unless you take my mom. So he said, okay, I'll take you and your mama. They go back to the palace. And then, he has to go and break the news to Lisa that he has a bastard child. Okay, because they keep using the term bastard. He goes back, tells him that he has a bastard child. Oh, let me backtrack. The barbershop is still intact with all the same players, honey. All the same characters still in the barbershop, talking mess and taking names. He goes to the barbershop to locate his son, who was on the side of the street scalping tickets. I forgot to add that. So he goes back to the palace. He talks to Lisa. She's fake outraged, but then she remembers she got it popping back in Brooklyn or Queens herself. So she was all good with the situation. Then all of a sudden, Leslie and him show up. Leslie runs up real loud, like, I didn't like the loudness. Hey, Queen, just call me your second mama, because Eddie and Lisa have 3 daughters, one of which thinks that she's going to be taking over the kingdom. But that ain't the truth, because this movie is set in a time where women are not allowed to rule Zamunda. Okay. So then the son comes and then he tries to figure his way out, and how they're trying to teach him how to be a king or a prince. And I'm like, okay. Mika was pissed, which is the oldest daughter, the eldest. She was pissed because she thought she would be the king until Prince such and such showed up on the scene. I didn't like Jermaine Fowler as the son. I thought his acting was bad. I didn't think he even looked like what I thought he should look like as a descendant of, Prince Hakeem and Leslie. I mean, his character was all over the place. He came on the scene. The rule was there's no female that can be heir to the throne, so that was all out. Wesley Snipes comes in with his cornrows and child tries to talk his daughter into marrying his son, but when that didn't work, then he tried to talk his daughter into marrying his son, who was played by Tiana Taylor. They brought Vanessa Bell Calloway in to bark 2 times, and she went on off to the side. I'm like, what is happening? This movie is a mess, child. And then they had enough nerve to have ZNN. This was a whole parody, okay? This was a fool. So Wesley Snipes and his cornrow wig are standing there telling Prince Hakeem that if he don't figure out, well, King Hakeem now, that if he don't figure out how to get one of his kids married off to one of his, then it's going to be a whole problem in Zamunda. He got 24 hours to figure it out, okay? So the ancestor, who is the crypt keeper, comes in and says that the new prince needs to pass a few tests before he can actually be married off to Tiana's character. So they're trying to turn him into this prince, but you know, honey, he play all day. So then I'm thinking to myself, like, why are y'all trying to turn him into a prince when technically he should already be the prince because he's your direct descendant? But okay. So after that, he starts telling them that he thinks he's not worthy to be a prince. There's a lady that comes to cut his hair. And, you know, I started noticing they were getting close. It was so predictable. And that character was played by Namzambo Mbatha, I think. I think I'm pronouncing her name correctly. She was a beautiful lady, though. I got to give it to him. So he comes in, gets his hair cut. Now they're trying to dress him in Zamunda garb so that he can be more like them. He wasn't feeling it. Meanwhile, Mika out there getting her Wakanda moves on, honey. She getting her Wakanda moves together. So I'm like, this is giving me real Black Panther mixed with High School Musical, mixed with a bad parody, mixed with what the hell? I mean, I don't even know, child. I'm just going to keep it real with y'all. This is not no fancy jargon. I'm not going to be saying the characters were played by because I don't really care. Y'all should have left my movie alone. There was no reason for this. Eddie, child, what is wrong with you? So then him and the barber start getting close, which I knew would happen. The Queen and Leslie over there getting drunk at one of the events that they were having because, honey, y'all slept with the same man. So now y'all sister wives or whatever y'all got going on. It's good to see the baby mamas getting along since y'all want to continue to call this boy a bastard child. He overhears them saying that they brought him back for no reason other than to make him the prince because it was his father's wishes. He decides that he's going to take the lady that he's in love with, who's the lady that grooms him, take her back to the States and get married. Then they go and his new bride-to-be go and try to get married at the Jubilee Church, but they should have just went to the courthouse. I didn't understand this, but I guess it was to bring the character back from the 1988 movie. So the pastor was still kicking, child. Teeth still bucked out, honey. And child, so they trying to have this makeshift wedding. Eddie turns up on the scene, stops the wedding, decides that they are going to get married in Zamunda, the correct way. So this is the same different day. Okay, because if y'all remember from 1988's movie, Hakeem went down there to sow his royal oats because he didn't want to get married to Vanessa Bell Calloway's character, who is Wesley Snipes' sister. That's why they got beef. Okay, I forgot to add that. Wesley Snipes' sister was Vanessa Bell Calloway, the bark on one leg, hop on one leg, all of that. That was his sister. So the fact that he ran off and married Lisa, now they beefing. Okay, so when he got back to the States, he decided to bring his son back to go to Zamunda so they could get married. They got married. It was cameos everywhere. Everybody and their mama was in this movie. It was 1,000,001 comedians there. I feel like they just got on Instagram and was like, hey, what you doing Saturday? Oh, I ain't doing nothing. Hey, come to the set. Hey, what you doing? Oh, I'm not doing nothing Tuesday. Hey, come to the set. Call so-and-so and tell them to come. What Michael Blackson doing Thursday? Oh, he ain't doing nothing, that mother sucker. Okay, tell him to come to the set. I mean, it was people everywhere. The cast was 1,000,000 cast members long. I'm sure everybody got paid in Jack and the Beanstalk beans, honey. Because I don't know what kind of budget there was for this movie, but how can y'all afford to pay all these people? It was extras and comedians everywhere. And I really feel like this is what I feel like should have happened. I feel like the Coming to America, what they should have done is his daughter, who was the eldest, Mika, she should have not wanted to rule. She should have been able to rule Zamunda, okay? But then she decided, you know what? I want more for me. I don't want to do things that are, you know, what women would normally do. I want to go and move to New York. So she moves to New York and she goes to NYC. And maybe she starts living this life. And then Hakeem comes and Lisa comes, and then they bring Zamunda to the States. And then all of a sudden she's embarrassed. She marries someone. Like, it could have been something so much different. But then you went and found this illegitimate son from a relationship that you never really had, and you don't even remember having sex with the lady because you were date raped or whatever. They slipped you a roofie or a Mickey or a Minnie or whatever they did. And then all of a sudden here we have this parody. Honey, I'm not here for it at all. Meanwhile, while he's over in the States trying to get trying to get Charlie, so many of them, trying to get him to come back so he can get married in Zamunda, Mika over at the palace fighting and holding it down with 7 or 8 men all at once. She almost captured. Then the sisters came in the clutch. Arsenio Hall comes in over there laid out on the floor like somebody's old grandma. And I'm like, who did this wardrobe, honey? Like, what is going on? Child, this is a mess. The son is dressed when he comes back in thrift store's finest. I don't know, child, I don't know what year the movie was set. Sexual Chocolate and Peaches and her twin come out and do a little number. You know, my name is Peaches and I'm the best, and all the DJs want to feel my breast. You know, I mean, I saw what they were trying to do, but it wasn't landing. All of the jokes were recycled. Those outfits looked like they came from Party City. I mean, in 1988, they looked so regal, so put together. Honey, I was so disappointed. We could have kept this. Another thing that was wrong with this movie was the fact that when he did come back to let Mika know that now she will be taking over the throne and she will be next in line after his untimely demise, I didn't like the fact that that came only after, you know, the son ran off to New York to get married to his bride. Like, I didn't like that. Like, that should have been from the start. We should now be in 2020. There were like 3 or 4 different plots going on within one movie. I was so confused. And it was so many cameos by so many different celebrities. I thought when he told her she was going to be in charge next, I thought Beyonce was going to bust out of the back and start singing, "Who Run the World, Girls? Who Run the World, Girl?" I mean, I didn't know what was going to happen. Okay? Everybody was there. Everybody was in this movie but the kitchen sink. Okay? And, child, then they started singing and dancing and doing the electric slide, and that was pretty much it. If I had to rate this movie, I'd rate it a 4. Honey, leave my movies alone. I understand we have to do sequels. We don't have to do sequels. Let me take that back. I understand that you guys would like to see what becomes of a character. But the way that you guys did this was wrong. So, yeah, if you haven't seen it, go ahead and check it out. Your views may be different from mine. There are a lot of people who said they love the movie. It's not a hard watch. I can watch it without looking down at my phone. But at the same time, it didn't give me anything that the first one gave me. And I guess I shouldn't have went in with those expectations. I should have just gone in, you know, with an open mind. Like, let's see what all's doing. Let me see if they speak in their speech. Let me see what's happening. But that stereotypical mess y'all did with the single black mom and the bastard child and the baby mamas and the baby daddies, and I didn't like that. We could have done much better. It is 2021. At the time of this being shot, it was 2018, I think, until 2020. Let's do better, people. That's all I'm going to say, honey. Now, watch it at your own leisure and tell me what you think. Leave your comments down below. Maybe you saw something that I didn't see. Maybe I need to watch it again. I did say I was going to watch it a second time to see if I still felt the same way. But as for now, these are my thoughts. Those are the pros and those are the cons. And that's all I have for you. Thanks for listening. I hope that you enjoyed this review / what's wrong with Coming America 2. As always, stay safe, stay blessed, spread love, not germs. Peace.